Aloha, kako. I'm of a mind today to talk about people and their pets. Yeah, I mean, maybe frequent viewers have noticed that there has been a cat that has come around here recently named Gracie. And so I'm having this relationship situation I'm dealing with here with pets. And it brought back some thoughts on the subject. When I was a younger man, we had animals around. We raised tropical fish. My stepfather was really big into raising tropical fish. We had a cat named Marty. We had a dog named Dinah. Best dog ever. Yeah, she was great. Yeah, that's, during the period of time that I was in school, as a boy, that we had those animals around. Later on the farm in Wisconsin, when we had kids and we had pets, there were farm cats, there were dogs came through, and so on. After I left the Midwest, I really never had a pet again until in California I found myself raising koi fish as part of the business in the nursery. And after a while, what happened is, since we had all the fish, people who had orphan fish, koi or goldfish, would call us, and we'd usually accept their orphan fish when they're moving out of town and put them in with stuff there. And so we had a few fish that really weren't part of the sales floor. Okay, they were just our fish. And now for me, that was a pretty interesting development at the time. Because all of my pets in the past that I'd had, intimate contact with, was really friendly with, touched them every day and so on. They were pretty much all furry creatures. The fish, that was a whole different thing, because I'd had fish previously, but I never considered them to be, intelligent, cuddly, etc., like animals that have fur. I found out otherwise. Boy, did I learn about fish when we had those koi fish. It changed my mind completely. I never eat a fish sandwich again without thinking twice about the life of that poor thing. Yeah. So, the original pets that were in my life were probably the most memorable. It works like that. And childhood friends, and those relationships at that period of time in life. And never really, hardly matched that again. But over time, come to think that the animals we keep as pets, that probably just about, hi Gracie, probably just about anything that's got a brain and two eyes stuck in its head probably has a soul or a spirit too. I'm pretty sure of that, actually. Over my life, I've had a condition, I guess you could call it, of some heavy dreaming. Used to see events prior to them happening and stuff, but with the pets, it was kind of an interesting. My cat Marty, it's a tomcat, black guy. When I was in school, I don't know, freshman or something like that, and I was a tomcat, and so tomcats, they roam around a lot, and one time he roamed off, and I have a feeling that he probably crawled up into the back of a truck to sleep, and they probably drove him to St. Louis. Poor guy had to hoof his way all the way back to Chicago. Whatever, it took almost 6 months, I think, for the cat to come home. This happens, I'm sure you people got cat stories about that. He was gone so long that we pretty much wrote him off as dead. Well, I didn't. Okay, but the rest of the family did. We'd figured Marty's gone, you know. Well, and one day, I didn't realize I was dreaming. I didn't know it. It was lucid and real, but I dreamt that I'm sitting on my bed and all of a sudden the cat jumps up on me and starts purring. And I go, my goodness, Marty, you're home. Where have you been? You know? Oh, I was so excited. You know, and then, it's on. Pet the cat. Pet the cat. Fell back asleep. Well, when I woke up in the morning, one of the earliest things I did was to go into the kitchen and go, hey, Mom, where's the cat? My mother goes, Billy, you losing it. The cat's been gone for 6 months. I went, no, Mom. Cat came home. I saw it. It's just, no. There's no cat. Well, about 2 o'clock that afternoon, meow, meow. It's Marty at the door. I was real happy. I was pretty attached to the cat. Nobody else in the house could believe that I knew the cat was coming home, but you know, that experience in my life is common. All right, you know, I have this experiences a lot. Sometimes I think it's why I do so well trading stocks. But anyway, yeah, and then we had a dog too. We got it about the same time. That was probably like a junior high age, something on that order. 11 years old, I'll bet, maybe 12. And, well, it was a dog that was a cross between 2 purebreds. It was a Springer Spaniel and Black Terrier. 2 pedigrees had gotten tangled up, and the lady who had the Spaniel didn't need these hybrid dogs, and so my mom worked with her, and so we went over and we picked out one cute puppy. Oh, and it was first dog for me. I got real attached to it. It was a very smart dog. It was not really necessary to tell the dog anything twice, really. I mean, it learned in one shot most of the time. My stepfather was mostly in charge, I guess, of doing all the regular dog training. He was pretty good at that. So she was well trained, well broken to the family. Went everywhere with us. Yeah, it's a member of the family. Dog lived a long, long time. I didn't believe how long she lived. I believe 21 or 22 years. I guess that's how far love will take you. It'd be over 140 in dog years. Yeah. Anyway, I know I went after I got, married and moved away from the house and everything. Dog's still there. Every time I come back, oh boy, she go crazy. She was so smart. She taught me how to hunt. Yeah. I go out in the woods in my punk walk along with my little 22 and got a dog with me, and it's fall and there's oak trees and the acorns are all ripe in Wisconsin. And, I'd see a squirrel up in a tree. Well, immediately Dinah, she'd run to the other side of that tree, start barking. Well, I was pretty green. I didn't know what the heck. So I'd walk around the back side of the tree and look at the dog and go, okay, Dinah, what you barking at? And that dog looked at me and said, man, human, are you stupid? What she was doing was she instinctively knew if I had a gun, we were hunting, she'd go to the back side of the tree and bark so the squirrel would come out my side so I could shoot it. Whew. Took me a while to figure it out. Yeah, she did a lot of other things like that too. That's very seldom, I think, maybe with most of us, do our pets get us smarter. Yeah, in some ways the dog was smarter than I was. the dog lived a very long time, and she eventually passed away, and must have been 10 years after she passed that I had one of those dreams again. And in the dream, the dog came home. I could feel her warm black fur. It was so real. The dog was there. She came to me in my dreams. She didn't talk, she was a dog. But she let me know that she'd been around. She'd been watching. No, she's got to go. It was time. She couldn't hang around anymore. So we said our goodbyes. And I never heard from her again. Well, like I said, then there were the fish. Boy, oh boy. I had no idea. I mean, okay, so I'd gotten really attached to at least one cat in my life. I really loved my dog. But fish, well, I was always interested in them, but I had fish at many levels, you know. I mean, I had bass ponds, I had goldfish tanks, and so on throughout my life. But then it was the koi pond thing, and, you know, and so, like I said, we had these orphan koi people would drop off, and then into the nursery, and then eventually the koi farm next door to our nursery decided it was closing its doors when the owner died and the wife didn't want to handle the business anymore. And so they had a garage sale. And so the guys who worked in the nursery went next door and they bought some of these really high-end prized beautiful koi, you know, for like half price, and brought them as, you know, little fishes. They were young guys. And they brought them home to the nursery and put them in the tank. And so those were our fish, you know, amongst the orphans that people had left there, and then the ones we bought. And we had a particular tank where we raised the fish. Well, I'd come in every morning early, open up the store, and go by the fish tank, and, you know, and say hello to the fish and so on. Well, sometimes, you know how it is in the nursery, sometimes it gets slow. There's nothing to do. Well, sometimes I just go talk to the fish. Yeah. Well, I started reading up on them a little bit, and I realized they're very sensitive to sound, and that the like Zen monks in Japan will use a little bell, ring it at koi feeding time. So they go to the pond, they ring a little bell, the koi all come, and they feed them. Well, I started thinking about that, and I realized that, you know, these fish are that sensitive to sound, and we had named them, you know. We had Banana Slug, and there was Roy the koi, Charlie the carp, Patches, you know, they all had names. And, you know, Roy, he was unusual in that he'd been an orphan. Some poor old lady had this guy since he was a little bitty fish. He was a bright orange koi, and she'd put him in a half wine barrel. Well, it was great, except koi don't stop growing to the size of the tank, and they can get really big, and he did. And it got to the point where he could only do right turns. He couldn't even turn around the poor barrel, you know. And so the lady called, and we accepted him, brought him into the store, and put him in our tank, you know. And poor Roy, for the longest time, he did. He swam in right circles, you know. But finally, he figured out he could turn left, and things got more normal for Roy because he had an 800-gallon tank. It was a lot more room. And so I got pretty friendly with him. I got to like Roy a lot, you know, and Roy would come when I called him. It got to the point where I just kept repeating his name every time I addressed him. And he finally zoned in on that particular sound as being a sound that he knew there was food or stuff, you know. And then Charlie showed up. And Charlie ended up being one of those koi that's a crapshoot. He might turn green when he grew up, but if he stayed the brilliant gold that he was, he would be of some of the most valuable koi because of the beautiful gold color, wealth, and it turned out Charlie did. He stuck to that gold. Oh, was he beautiful. And, well, since Charlie had been brought in as a baby fish, and in my adventures as a trout fisherman, I did discover with trout, for instance, if you catch them under an undercut bank, like in a small mountain stream or something, you can actually, if you put your hand under their bellies and rub gently, the trout will fall asleep and they'll drop into your hand. It's rather incredible. I learned it by accident, but I found this out, that you could whisper a fish to sleep by rubbing its stomach, and so I used to try it on Charlie. Well, sure enough, Charlie liked it too. He'd settle right down into my hand. Well, after a while, I figured out, wow, Charlie enjoys this, kinda. He likes me touching him, and so I tried lifting him out of the pond to see what had happened. Well, if I was holding him, Charlie didn't freak. He apparently trusted me, and enough. And since that was so marvelous, I'd give him a piece of fish food, and he'd go, oh boy, I'd put him back in, and he'd swim away. It was handy because I could actually check him out, see if he had, any scale damage, did he have any parasites. It was very simple with Charlie. You didn't have to catch him within a net or anything like that. You just call him, Charlie, and Charlie'd come, and then you'd put my hand under his belly, and I could do whatever I wanted pretty much with him. That blew my mind, okay, to begin with. I didn't think you could get that close with fish. But after a while, I got curious about how much sound they understand. And what I discovered was that at least Charlie, for instance, who would really, he'd gotten a lot of attention from me, he knew the other fish's names. Because if I come up to the tank, and Charlie'd come, but none of the other fish. And so I go, Charlie, get Roy. Charlie, get Roy. Charlie'd swim over, bump Roy, go, hey, Roy, Bill wants to talk to you. They both show up. Wow. Well, you can imagine, I kind of got deeply attached to these fish because of that kind of stuff. Became locally famous, Bill and his pet fish, but well, eventually we closed the nursery down. I brought the fish home with me, and long story short, there was an accident while I was gone. I was out here in Hawaii, actually, and the tank sprung a leak. I lost them all. That was pretty sad. Although it did solve me one problem, because I had no idea how I was going to bring my fish to Hawaii when I moved. Anyway, so whatever. Stuff happens, but anyway, when Charlie died, then the dreams came back. And I'd wake up in the night, and he'd be swimming through my head. And what he told me was that he was going to stay. He was going to hang out. He was going to watch me. And he wasn't going away. Well, I told him flat out, no. Go to the light, boy. And he did. I'm sure there are probably other pet owners out there that may have had, these sorts of kind of psychic experience with their pets, I guess. I don't know how common it is. I haven't met too many people that have their dead fish swim through their dreams, but I'm sure it happens. And then Gracie showed up. I wasn't really ever going to have another pet after that. I was done. And I don't think I really wanted the responsibility, you know, as I got older and I'm retiring. I'm thinking, maybe I got traveling, you know. I don't want to have to deal with the pet. Well, then Gracie showed up. And she wants to be part of everything there is around here, right, Gracie? Yeah. She just sits there in the sun and listens to me record videos. Most of the time when I'm recording, she's right here below my feet. Well, the only problem with Gracie, one of the darn best cats I ever saw. She's a good one. There's a lot of good cats, you know. I'm sure everybody loves their cats, but you know, I didn't love this cat. All right, I just permitted this cat to be here. That was all. It came in here hunting. I could use a hunter. Before she got here, I was really always attempting to control rodents, rats and mice mostly. It's up to me. I've got some old videos about trapping, about poisoning, and I don't have to do that anymore. At least not lately. I haven't had to since she got here. So, I mean, that was really why I permitted her to be here. But I didn't want a pet cat, and I ignored her. You know, I just let her be. Do whatever she wanted to. She didn't cause any problems. And so she'd stalk the place. And then I began to notice, though, a few really admirable qualities about this animal, is that she would hunt on a pattern that was repeatable by the clock. I found that rather extraordinary. Yeah, she'd do a grid pattern across the property, and you could look at the watch, and she'd be here at 3:30, there at 5 o'clock, and so on. And I mean, it was the same thing almost every day. I said, wow, never seen an animal quite like this one. She's really got an internal clock. Well, I guess that was where my admiration for the animal began, since I am a person who always wakes up at the same moment every day, blah, 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 blah. You know, I have a clock inside of me that is as precise as you can imagine, you know, and I don't need to use watches and so on, and I saw the cat in the same quality. It wasn't until that day she came to the door, starving, and we figured out that she had kittens here, and et cetera, that things changed, you know. And so she became a pet with us. And, you know, she cleaned up most of the rodents, and so she brings everything she hunts to us. All right. And so, you know, lately, since there's no mice around, well, it's, you know, like lizards and maybe a few small birds on occasion. And she brings them to the front door, you know, and she'll drop them there and showing them off to us and all. And, well, my response is not, you know, been all that great. We put bells on her and everything, trying to keep her, you know, from getting all little birds, but I need to keep her sharp at hunting, and so I'm not going to obstruct her talent. So we let her hunt. But when she bring me a lizard, I'd go, oh gosh, Gracie, can't you find me a chicken or something, you know? And she can get a positive reaction. And she's sensitive, she knows that. Well, starting just recently, I've been bringing her out in the evenings with me, sitting on the porch there, and so she'll go around the house after dark and start hunting. Well, she started bringing me frogs, and anybody who watches this channel, you know how bad I hate coqui frogs. I mean, I despise them. They've been a real problem here. In fact, in my opinion, if there is one thing that got into Hawaii next to the 80s mosquito that is annoying, it's that frog. Well, Kitty figured out hunting frogs is the bomb, because, well, they're not only fun because they hop around and everything, and she just loves that stuff. But when she brought the first one to us, both Ellen and I were like overjoyed. We were delighted, you know. And she knew, right? And so she runs back on the line, looking for more frogs everywhere, looking for more frogs, you know. And so she brought me another one the next night, you know, and it's the same thing. And she was so ecstatic with the reaction she got from us, because with cats, cats have been working animals next to humans, so have dogs, okay, but cats have had that job mostly of, vermin control, rodents, with humans. And they know they're not just eating the rodents because they taste good, it's food. They're also doing the rodents because they know that the person that they're bonded to wants the mice controlled. It's a working relationship. And they will bring you the mice, and show you what they're doing and so on and so forth. Usually, well, when she realized that frogs were the game, man, she just went nuts. I couldn't even calm her down that night hardly, get her to go to sleep. She was so excited because I finally figured it out. I know what they want. They want these frogs. Wow, it was funny. This one's a little bit hard for me because it's true. I guess I do get emotionally attached to some animals. I claim I'm not a pet guy, but I'm not even a people person, to be honest with you. But there's a few people I just love. There's a few animals I've met that I really like too. Wow. So, there you go. People and pets. Hang loose, folks.